yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Hello and welcome back to the Inside NBL Show. I'm the Matrix. I'm here with Hammer. Mate, are you as excited as I am for this weekend?
I'm pumped. It can't come soon enough. More doubles, a bit of a change in the schedule. It's exciting. I feel like this is a real turning point for separate the men from the boys in the leaderboard.
Well, it's a real turning point for me because Braino's coming up with Matty G from the NBA show. And we're hitting the casino and staying a few days at the coast. So it might be a real Larry Emder for the Matrix this weekend. But we will watch a fair bit of NBL when we're not watching the grand final of the NRL. So I'm pretty excited for that. So yeah, follow along for all the tweets. There'll be plenty of madness going on.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit of Wolfpack action.
Guys, on today's show, we're going to go through some boost chat. There's been lots of questions just to boost or not to boost. Game previews, popular trades, community team chat, captain talk. I do want to start off every show with just letting people know that the doubles this week, where we should be looking, like you fish where the fish are. You go Tassie, Cairns, Melbourne, and Adelaide this week with Adelaide and Cairns on the double-double.
You fish where the fish are. Did you make that up?
Yeah, no, that is legit what you do. You don't want to go fishing in the dish. Like, you're not going to go fishing in the sink.
I get that, but normally metaphors are meant to be a little cryptic, not just like you fish where the fish are. That's quite exactly. Matrix.
I don't need to be cryptic. I need to tell people to only look at Tassie, Cairns, Melbourne, and Adelaide players.
That's cool, man. Spoken from Rex Hunt himself.
Yeah, fishing with ET. Look, to boost or not to boost is the question.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts of boosting this ripe round 3.
What are you doing?
I, at this stage, am not boosting. I'm not seeing something that's boost worthy. I'm holding one. I definitely could boost. It would be easier probably to boost for me. But I've made an original plan with some Melbourne players that have maybe been underwhelming. And my plan was to keep them. The break-even's not scaring me off. I've heard some news from some other Melbourne players today that might boost their chances of staying in my team. Yeah, that was a bit more cryptic than fish where the fish are.
You're quite the philosopher. Hey, look, you said you had this plan coming in. We released our boost strategies along with some of the other top super coaches, across the different leagues on our Patreon. I feel like my boost strategy is changing. So I'd planned my first boost for round 5 to bring in all the breakers. All of a sudden, there is only one breaker that I'm seeing that is even half relevant to what I want to do, and that's PJC. So,
Taco Fall.
Yeah, right. But look, if I'm not going to need the boost in round 5, bringing only one breaker in, I think right now is a good time.
Yeah, and there's a few guys, and we're going to highlight them. We did have a chat about our break-evens last week, and I'm sure they'll be in the most traded in and out. But there is quite a few guys on doubles or on double-doubles that you could definitely get. Yeah, thanks. I'm already losing my voice before you get up to the coast, mate.
We may as well lose your boost and actually use it.
So yeah, I suppose that's two different strategies. I'm not 100% sure my final trade, which might have been getting a cash cow in on a single, like Casey Prather or somebody like that, or bringing in somebody who I'm not even 100% sure is gonna hit their break even. So I'm just not tackling that just yet.
Fair enough. But the way I see it, there's a lot of cash floating around. We'll get into it throughout the show. A boost may be a way that we can get amongst those Benjamins.
Mate, let's head into the preview, which is brought to us by Ryan at Astute Houston.
He's heating up.
Look, I got to shout out friend of the show, Hamo, and he couldn't make golf on the trip. But look, Ryan from Astute Houston is helping people get into the house of their dreams. Whether it's refinancing your own house, whether your interest rates are above 6.2%, he can help you out. He doesn't get paid from you for doing this. He gets paid from the bank. So he can get in, you can get in contact with him, talk to him about saving money, talk to him about how much money you need for a deposit on a house, talk about, maybe giving you a cap as to what you can spend. Just getting in contact with Ryan makes it super easy to get into the market or save you some money on your current loans. So, let's head into the games this week. We've got Adelaide versus Southeast Melbourne this week. Are you seeing anything here that could be Supercoach relevant? We've got maybe some Southeast Melbourne guys that we're getting off and jumping to a couple of Adelaide guys.
Yeah, but before we get into this game, your voice, that huskiness, if I close my eyes, I'm channeling a little bit of Macy Gray. I don't mind it. Adelaide is relevant. They're coming into back-to-back doubles, them and Cairns. So all of a sudden, they've become really Supercoach relevant, and they've got some guys we've been targeting for a while. Kendrick Davis, Montrezl Harrell, Lat Mayen are probably the three we're looking at in Adelaide. Over on Southeast Melbourne, if you haven't already got off Derek Walton Jr., it's probably time to jump ship.
Sinking
Matt
ship.
Hurt's the other one that you may not jump off.
Yeah, you could stay with Matt Hurt because I think there's still a little bit more money to be made there. Look, Derek Walton Jr., look, I don't think it was a mistake per se. He just had a bad round last round. But the experiment's over for now. You got to wait till Southeast Melbourne get on a good run.
Yeah, it just hurts at his price because you have a couple of bad games, you're going to drop significantly in value. Hey, let's talk about Trez. Do you like what you're seeing? Is he must own, or you got a bit of a flag on him?
No, I'm not sure I'm going to call too many players must own in round 3, but from 16 or 17 minutes in the first game to 21 minutes in the second game, looked fantastic in that last game I watched him play, was a real firecracker, starting even to the point that Hump has been doing extremely poorly, that Trez is sort of easing his way into more and more minutes every single game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop a 40 piece in one of these games.
Yeah, I've got concerns. Do I think Montrezl Harrell should be playing 40 minutes? Yeah, 100%. Will he? I don't think so. I think there's more politics at play here. Isaac Humphries is your marquee guy. Montrezl Harrell's an injury replacement. Right now, we can't play them both together. They don't share any court time. Go back and look at the last couple of box scores. 40 minutes between them. They just share the center position. There is not a world where I think Montrezl Harrell is going to play 30 minutes, which we'd like him to. And we've just been really, really lucky that his points per minute has been off the chart. He's dropping, 33, 35 Supercoach points in his low 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you see him increasing enough?
Look, I could see a world where he's playing 25, 26 minutes and that be a 40 piece. But, I mean, the guy's playing like an absolute animal, working his way back from an injury too. Like, I haven't seen enough that won't be them just pounding it inside to him.
If you're the coach, though, do you go that way and piss off Isaac Humphries, knowing that when Jarrell Martin comes back, you're likely going to have to part ways with Montrez?
I mean, I think they're going to be doing what they can to win at this stage. They're 0-2. They probably shouldn't be. They played really well against the Kings. I think if they
Yep.
play against 8 of the other teams, they win that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're gonna have to go to Trez.
Yeah. Look, the thing with Trez, there's a few options floating around that forward center position. We'll get to the others later, but one of them is Magne, crazy break even, been playing unbelievable basketball. You got Cam Oliver on a single this week, coming into a double next week. Does Trez get the bump because he has back-to-back doubles, unlike any of these other centers?
Yeah, I don't think. Look, the different Trez and Will Magne play the same amount of games over, say, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it was Mr. Moo on Twitter that pointed that out to me, which is really good. I think that you can get away with just keeping Magne on your bench, especially being forward center eligible next
Yep.
week. But I do think over Days and Oliver, Trez is an upgrade, especially just playing more games.
Yeah, and look, Magno's value is amplified in round 5, and there's only 2 teams on the double, them and New Zealand. There's not going to be a lot of bigs between Tassie and New Zealand that you're even going to have to choose from. So, look, Magno's important come round 5 if you can hold him. Let's go back to Adelaide. Kendrick Davis. We talked about him on Monday's show. He's been underperforming, yet he's still been clocking low 30s on Supercoach. I feel like he's ready for a breakout.
Yeah, he is. His break even is 40. So he's going to make some cash this week, going by what he's done. Southeast Melbourne do let a lot of points in. So it should just really start ramping up for him. What is their second game? That's a bit of a rough one.
Adelaide?
Yep.
I don't know. You got the Clippers, maybe?
Illawarra. That should
Ooh.
the first matchup's definitely an easier one than him against
Yeah.
Illawarra. Look,
Although
I'm
in
not sure
saying
Kendrick
that,
Davis is must have after what I've seen.
yeah, look, at that price though, and back-to-back doubles, I don't hate it. Illawarra, as good as they've been, it's been high scoring every game they've played. They've been running the scoreboard up. And you look at their 2 guards that they start with. Harvey, is he a defensive guy? I don't think he can guard his own shadow. Trey Kell, he's a bigger guard, but he's probably going to go to DJ Vasiljevic. I quite like the matchup for Kendrick Davis.
Yeah, right. Well, he is 15.8% owned at the moment.
Mhm.
And those guys are probably the guys that you do want to target. There's quite a few 100K guys, but these guys seem to have a short rotation, really.
Yeah.
The only other 100K guy that, yeah, like you said, that you'd be interested in is Lat Mayan. Forward only. He scored 51 points so far. I think it was 17 and 34.
Yeah.
My math is impeccable. He's gonna make a ton of cash.
Yeah. Look, I think the 34 was probably a ceiling game. But what I do like, and we've flagged this on previous shows, is he's playing about 28 minutes a game. Because Harrell and Humph cannot share the floor, he's literally their only option at the 4 spot. He's playing some big minutes, and the opportunity's there. That last game he played, he struggled for 17 Supercoach points, but he scrapped and he scraped and he got there. I think it'll come easier to him in some games, and I think 17 is probably around about your floor, maybe just above.
Should be noted that his 34 will drop out when it comes to
Yeah.
price rises, due to the 3 most recent games at
Mhm.
the end of a round is how it's done. It's not something I agree with, but it's just how Supercoach works this year.
Yeah, that's the Henschel rule, isn't it?
It is the Henschel rule. Look, let's talk about 2 other teams that are on doubles. Cairns versus Tasmania. Who have you got in this one?
Yeah, look, Cairns, it's a bit of a funny one. There's a lot of names popping up in here. One of the big ones is your mate, Sam Wardenberg. What are your
Sam,
thoughts on this?
I actually saw my thoughts. It is Sam Fraudenberg.
Mm.
Look, he burnt us last year. I think he only played those minutes because Tanner Groves got in huge foul trouble. He only played 2 bits of fuck all for 12 Supercoach points. Oh, there you go. 7 minutes last game.
And
I really think this is Tanner Grove's team when it comes to that. Sam Waterberg's good and I think a role player, but I don't think we'll ever see him score 50 Supercoach points in a game again.
No. Look, he played 37 minutes in this game, which is unheard of for him. And he's burned us all before. He's been just so mediocre and average. I don't think he's even that Supercoach friendly. He hits some threes. He stretches the floor. He looks disinterested and doesn't even sniff out a rebound half the games. This was just one of those games where if you own him, you'll kiss on the dick. Outside of that, I don't think it's going to repeat. Groves is their guy, and I'm going to be steering clear despite the cash. So I suppose that's the question, Matty. Are you getting him as a cash cow because he's going to go up, or are you getting him because you think you're going to hold him over these 2 doubles?
I would be a lot more comfortable getting him if we're talking about this in round 7, when there aren't these other cash cows that can score points that we can get at the moment.
Yep.
If I could bring in Sam Wardenberg for 225k with a break even of 9 on a double, heading into another double, and I could sit him on the bench, I would be all in on this. But this situation where I would have to play him and I would have to get him over a Trez or a Magne or somebody like that, or even use a boost on, I don't think this is boost worthy. And I'll probably eat my words. He'll probably make 50k this week, but I'm not comfortable putting any bets on Sam Wardenberg making you a lot of money.
And you're right. That's what it comes down to. 100% if you could park him on your bench and make cash, he's a solid bench player. But I don't think too many teams this week are set up where they're going to have 2 forwards and a centre on a double where you got that luxury of playing Wardenberg off the bench. Now, out of Cairns, there's a bit of movement. We're expecting both Taron Armstrong and Jackson McCoy to return to the lineup alongside the 12-year-old surfer boy who filled in last week, Kyle Adnam.
Yeah.
So we've got the full rotation of point guards back. And we're also got to talk about Rob Edwards and how this affects him.
Yeah, I think Rob Edwards is a really good player. But I think once Taron Armstrong comes back in, it's going to be his team. I won't be going anywhere near Edwards. I honestly haven't even considered it. Not at 277k. If I was having a punt, it would be on basically any other 277k bloke. It's Davis for me. Davis has, what's he got? He's got about the same break even, 37 to 40. I just like his game more, and there's not as many question marks. This is Kendrick Davis's team at point guard with Adelaide. Yeah. We haven't seen Taron Armstrong play with Rob Edwards yet.
No. Look, Rob Punk's going to disagree with you. He's in the chat. He's decided to go Edwards over Davis, even with Armstrong back. Just thinks he's more of a beast. Look, I'm siding with you, Matrix. My concerns are that Davis, he's been playing below capacity. He hasn't been shooting well. He's been, benched at certain times, but we know it's his team. Edwards has been playing out of his mind. He's been given the ball, and we're kind of being lulled into a false sense of security because he's scoring so much. We talked about on the Monday show, he had 31 Supercoach points with 30 actual points or something along those lines. If he's not scoring 30 points, is he going to even be relevant Supercoach-wise? And I guarantee he's not going to do that week in, week out.
Sorry, I do like another question in the chat. I had to blow my nose out, and I can talk normally for a second.
Good work, Macy.
Yeah, thanks, man. Means a lot, especially coming from you. Are we looking at Taron Armstrong? And the answer is no, because you don't need to touch him maybe until next week. We can have a look at how he fits into this team and see if he's worth it. Definitely a target for me next week. Should he come out and score maybe 20 to 25 points per game? I think that would be the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, look, Armstrong has disappointed us over the last 2 years almost as much as Wardenberg. He he seems like he should be so much better than he is. You're right though. We get a couple of looks at him. He's coming back from a calf injury. They've got Jackson McCoy back as well. I want to sit out for a week and see what happens. Uh, I don't think he's going to come out and set the world on fire right away.
No, that's fair. So matchup wise, how do we feel about Will Magnay's matchup, Sam Wardenberg's matchup, in this one?
Yeah. So who are they matching up against? Just everyone hasn't got the schedule in front of them.
So Will Magnay will be playing against Tanner Groves, obviously in this game. That's why I wanted to bring that up. And Will Magnay later on in the week will be up against Perth. So you'd
Amanza,
you'd expect
small
that.
ball. Yeah.
Yep.
Look, I like it for Magnay. I think he's mobile. While he's better close to the rim and he protects the hoop, he still can come out and defend the pick and roll and even show a hand if they go small ball with Wardenberg at the 5. I just like him against Cairns. Cairns they're driving, they're scrappy. You know, they'll throw some weird looks at it and they'll penetrate a lot. I think Magnay's going to get his blocks at the rim, which is going to boost his score a lot. He had the 5 blocks last week, which put him well over 50 Supercoach points. And I think Cairns is a good matchup for him.
Yep. Excellent. That's basically what I wanted to say. Willie Magnay, I think Cairns is good enough of a matchup that if you're bringing him in this week, you could captain him. His minutes have looked great.
The matchup against Perth, it's a little different. See, Pinder, I think he's similar. They're both quite mobile. I still think Magnay has an edge around the rim. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, though, Perth. That's just what they do. And they've got some undersized bigs in Doolittle. So I think he's still gonna play well. If they go super small ball and they go with maybe your Doolittle or Windler even at the 5, like really small ball, I don't know what happens there. Like maybe Tassie just keep going to Will Magnay and say, we're going to play our normal. You come match us on the other end. But yeah, look, I like both the matchups. When you go back to Wardenberg, though, I don't think they're as good a matchups for him. Now, against Tassie, that 4 spot, they're playing very small. They'll be able to match him on the perimeter, and he doesn't have much of a much of an inside game. I think it suits Magnay a lot better than Wardenberg.
And then Cairns come against Melbourne later on, so he'll be matching up against Jack White. Don't like that matchup for him either. In my anti-Fraudenberg chat. So
for sure.
And no Wardenbergs were hurt in making this video. I'm sure Sam Wardenberg's a good guy. I just would not. You know what? I probably wouldn't even drink a drink if he bought me one.
I'd be more likely to have a beer with him than put him in my Supercoach team, though.
Yeah, even if he did spike it. The next one is, and I didn't make a mistake earlier. I just probably should have mentioned Perth is on a double this week as well. And they start off playing against Melbourne this week.
Yeah.
Look, so we've all got our Melbourne
double this week. Then they got 3 singles before hitting a really nice run of doubles. So you're really looking at a 1-week rental unless you're getting a cheapie.
Yep. Melbourne, though, you've probably got your Melbourne guys that you want. It is a single. Again, it's the same sort of chat. It would turn into a rental because they go into 2 singles and then into that nice stretch of 3 doubles in a row. But there has been some chatter with how Melbourne have been underperforming. That there's some guys looking to get off some Melbourne players this week. Look, Rob Lowe didn't look as good this week after he looked like the second coming of 38-year-old Jesus. Jack White, until that last game, really hasn't performed. He's averaging 30 points per game, which is still good enough for a price rise. But there was like a 16 and a 19 in there. Shea Illy, look, he's averaged 19.3 Supercoach points and actually lost money. Delhi, there's news that come out this week that he didn't even travel to Perth. I believe that would be centered around the birth of his child. There's a lot of question marks with Melbourne. And do you think you would trade out any of these guys this week, even though they're on a double?
Yeah. Look, if you look at that stack, we'll go by one. Jack White, I won't be trading out. I think there's enough signs that he can put it together, and that last game was proof of it. The other games, he's just hasn't happened for him. But I've got enough faith in his game. Shea Illy's the one that I am really wanting to get off. He's come out of the gates with that 32 Supercoach points, and we thought this is it. Nothing's changed the next two games, and he just has not really contributed to the box score at all. His second and third games, he's almost been single figures, hasn't he? It's just been disgusting. And he's dropped cash already. Getting off him now, it's even making it hard to go to anything decent.
Yeah, 242K it is. I've got a counter argument. I think you could hold Illy. Like, again, nothing... That's funny. Again, nothing's changed from Illy's 32 points, really. His minutes have stayed in around that 27, 28. He's averages 26 Supercoach points when Delhi doesn't play. I think boosting Illy out could be a mistake.
Ooh. If you're not getting off him this week, you're going to get off him next week, aren't you?
Yes, you are.
Why would it be such a mistake to get rid of him this week?
He could still hit that break even. He's scored that in his last 3 games, albeit combined. No, in that first game, he did score 32 points and nothing's really changed. He's had a couple of stinkers, but you know what? He's still played 27, 28 minutes, and it looks like Delhi's out this week. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I'm holding Illy.
How do you find the matchups for Illy this week then, with or without Delhi?
Look, he's playing against Perth. You know what? He's never going to get their best defender, though, either. So if you're handling that, then that's completely fine. And then they're playing against, Cairns? Again, he's not going to get their good defenders either, because they're going to be putting their good defenders on, I don't know, any of those other 3 guards that they play, huge minutes for.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be completely fine this week.
Look, I'm just so meh on him. If you get rid of him or don't, I feel like, it just is what it is at this point. He's not going to impress me, and he's probably not going to do that badly that, I'm that offended either. He's just so mid. If I'm getting off any of the Melbourne stack, it's going to be him.
Yep. Sounds good. I don't think I'm trading anyone out from Melbourne. I think I've made this plan to keep these guys from Melbourne. I'm going to do it. Rob Lowe, completely fine. If you've got Marcus Lee, again, completely fine. Probably not going to make you any money, but I don't think they're going to lose you any money this week.
No, even if he loses a little bit, like Brano's in the chat here saying he'll go Illy to Taran next week. Taran's going to come in, no price rise for a couple of weeks, so 250K or 240K, whatever it really is now, down to the 200K mark for Taran. That's definitely doable.
Mate, Perth. Is there anyone from Perth? You calling him 1 week rentals?
Yep.
I'm going to go out and say it before you do. Bryce Cotton with a 90 break even going into this week. As much as it was probably the plan to go somebody like Jalen Adams up to Bryce Cotton this week, if he comes out and scores another couple of 20s, it could be 60K down the drain, which is devastating when you can't get back up to a Jalen Adams the following week.
Yeah, 100%. That break even for Cotton is 90 over 2 games. So essentially has to score 45 a game to break even. I don't see it happening. I think the question is not if he'll drop cash, it's how much. And you would bring him in for a captain option, really, if you bring in a guy at that price. And I think this week we've got some other options that are possibly going to be better. Talk about the matchups for Cotton. Who's his defenders this week? And it's going to be tough.
Well, I would have thought that maybe it was Delhi, but it looks like Delhi's not travelling. I think they might put an Ian Clark on him, or even Illy himself.
Illy? Yeah, Illy's probably touted as a pretty high defender. Which for Illy owners, if you're going to put him on for the whole game, we know Bryce Cotton plays for 38 minutes a game. Maybe Illy gets an uptick in minutes. The second game is against Tassie, though, which notoriously hard to score against also. I just don't love this weekend for Bryce Cotton. He's not on my radar to bring in at all. Probably the ones from Perth, though, that I am thinking about. A lot of us still hold Benny Henschel, awesome break even. Probably wouldn't be bringing him in if I didn't already own him. There's a bit more work to do elsewhere, but very solid cash cow. The two I'm looking at, Dylan Windler. What's your thoughts there?
I do, and then I have a look at the matchups again, and again, I just don't love the matchups. Like Tasmania, despite having a mixed start, I would say, they haven't let people score very much for them. And Supercoach point is based on scoring. I think Dylan Windler is somebody I'll own this year, just not this week.
But look at Windler. Playing against Tassie, have a look at the efficiency of both Milton Doyle and Jordan Crawford this year. I think last game, both of them were like 5 of 18. That's a lot of missed shots. And we know Dylan Windler loves to clean the glass. He doubled with 14 points, 16 rebounds last game. Against Melbourne, if he's playing in the 3 spot, who's Melbourne's 3-man? Chris Gourdie.
Ian Clark. Yeah.
Neither of them like to play defense. So
Yeah.
I don't hate the matchups. He's looking all right. The other one is Dr. Doolittle. Now, he had a really great game, and it was just torn down because of 7 turnovers last game. Uncharacteristic of him. You take away those 7 turnovers, there's an extra 14 Supercoach points, and he would have been in the money. He's coming in around that 280K mark, just above a new import. It might be 276 even.
Yep.
He's one to look at too. The other one, Dylan Windler, guard forward eligible. A lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I don't mind the flexibility. I do hate the 3 singles in a row that Perth have after that. They are probably the best team to target in round 7. And I'm really hoping that, like, you're going to own Bryce Cotton. We're probably going to own a Dylan Windler and a, look, honestly, maybe even a Pinder, and like we might have 4 Perth guys come round 7.
Talking of Perth, Rob's Punk's in the chat again. Is Pepper a must-have? Reckons he'll price rise to 150K surely over the next 2 weeks. Now, this is interesting because we know he came in, he had 18 actual points. Came on like a microwave in that last game. Few caveats to that, though. Your boy Pinder, he only played 10 minutes for a -6 in that game. That's probably not going to happen again. And Benny Henschel didn't play that one, out with illness. Do we need to look back to game 1 to get a more accurate picture of how these minutes will play out?
Yeah, I think that's how it'll be. I think Pepper will make some money. I still prefer Ben Henschel. It's not worth a trade to bring in Pepper, but it could be a nice pod that if he does get to 150K, so many people will have passed him out. And if you're not confident in somebody like Will Hickey that you might be holding on the bench, and you can use that 60K elsewhere, maybe to get, I don't know, an import price player up to Will Magnay, or honestly, you can nearly go all the way from Shea Illy to Will Magnay if you've got the jewels.
Yeah, I think that's the only situation where you'd be looking at Pepper is maybe a Glover or a Will Hickey. A lot of people hold those guys. That sort of 100, 120K mark. Dropping down to a 69K guy is going to give you 60 plus the little price rise you'll get here. And I don't think you'd be holding long term because I think this price rise is going to be immediate and then he'll come back to earth again. But you're right, that extra bit of money could get you somewhere else.
Mate, we're about to talk about the Illawarra Hawks anyway, and they have 3 singles in a row, into a double, into 3 singles in a row. I'm not very interested in them, but I'm interested to hear about your takes if Will Hickey is a trade out despite having the 1 break even this week.
Yeah. Look, I think if I had spare trades, he would be. I feel like he's just going nowhere. He's going to sit on your bench. I think he's around where he's going to be. He hasn't impressed me so far. I had such higher hopes for him, but I've got too much work to do elsewhere on my roster and probably already boosting without having to touch Will Hickey. But maybe one more week, and you might want to think about moving him on.
Yeah, and look, I think it's going to be somebody like a Casey Prather who's
Yep.
still averaged 22 points, and he's eligible for a price rise this week. If you
Yep.
do have trades and you've planned accordingly, I think going a Will Hickey down to an Elijah Pepper or a Casey Prather is elite, but I think you've got to make sure that you've got 5 people playing on doubles first before you start doing luxury trades like this.
Yeah. Look, and this is that balance between cash generation and still scoring enough. Yes, it's important to get that cash sorted. So when we get to that back end of the season where we've got teams on big runs of doubles, we've got the cash to pay out for the primos. But you don't want to get to that point of the season and be so far behind because you haven't been scoring at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Look, mate, let's head into the next one. And it's Brizzy versus Sydney. Both teams on singles. Now, with a lot of players had this guy, Tyrell Harrison, penciled in as this is the week that you bring him in. I actually think it's the following week due to that 13 dropping out of his rolling average.
Yeah. Look, as far as the cash cow, I think he's gonna start ticking over, especially if we get another really good game out of him this week. Um, look, there's not a lot we haven't already talked about on Monday's show or tonight with Brisbane. Prather getting the opportunity now. We're a lot more confident with him because Sammy Mack's out for the year. Bannon was meant to come back last week, but didn't see the court. I think that probably affects Adele more than Prather. But look, Prather's done enough to be a cash cow. Schedule's still not great, but if you get on now, you might be able to hold on. But Sydney's the one where there's a lot more question marks around what we do because we hold a lot of Sydney players.
Yeah, like the questions for me is like, do you trade out Cam Oliver, which I think that he could be a valuable trade out? Can you play Jalen Adams and Xavier Cooks on a single this week? That's my biggest questions. I'm not looking at bringing in any Sydney players, but I'm worried about maybe not trading them out. Maybe we can just leave them there.
Yeah. So I've come up with that conundrum trying to get either Oliver or Days out. Now, Days, I feel like he has a lot more upside. Oliver's still coming off the bench. Look, I'm just not feeling as great about him. But Oliver then has the double the following week, whereas Days doesn't. So if I can park Oliver on the bench for another week, I can massage him into either forward or centre. It's going to help me bridge the gap through to round 5. So it's probably the way I'm leaning. There's a few other guys that guys might be holding on to. Alex Tui, Jalen Adams. We're seeing a lot of guys popping up in the chat talking about Adams. What's your thought about holding him on a single? Because I know we put up in the Patreon today a couple of filthy would you rathers. Would you rather hold Jalen Adams on a single or some of these lower guys on a double?
Yeah, I think that Jalen Adams is a guy I would hold on a single. I think that he's going to be scoring enough. Of course, the perfect situation is if you've got these Kendrick Davises and even Shea Illies to start, and then you can just park Adams on your bench. Because next week, when I have a look, that there's only a couple of people on doubles. Jalen Adams is a must captain option, I think, next week.
He's up there. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of guys next week scrambling for some of those guys that you can have as a captain. Now, Mitchell Bacon's jumped up in the chat. This one's for you, buddy. Jalen Adams on a single or Henschel on a double? I think this is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, I'm sitting there in this situation, and I'll play Jalen Adams over Henschel on a single.
Yeah, I think so. Look, he had a crazy good game in that first game before he was out with sickness. But look, is he going to repeat that? Is that something he's going to do every single week? I don't know. We haven't got a big enough sample size yet. We know exactly what we want from and probably going to get from Jalen Adams.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I've toyed around with some lineups where I have had to play Ben Henschel, but Melbourne's pretty good defensively as well. There's not. Look, definitely Jalen Adams over that, but maybe a Montrezl Harrell or somebody like that. Like, is it worth boosting if you could load up elsewhere? I don't know. I've been playing around with a lot of things. I'm sort of in my own head with this one. I'd rather play Henschel at forward this week than at guard.
Yeah. And that relies on having someone else already at forward that is guard eligible to bring down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, let's head into the next game, mate, which is Melbourne versus Cairns. We've had a chat about a lot of these guys. I do consider this a really good matchup for Jack White, though.
Mm. Yeah. Look, if we get the Jack White we got in that last game, I think there's going to be a lot of happy owners. If we get the Jack White we saw in the first three, I think there's going to be a lot of guys who will not be able to wait to jump off him.
Absolutely. And we head into the last game, which is Tasmania versus Perth. The last game's 3:30 on Sunday, actually, so it's going to be over early. And yeah, you know what? Despite us being not super excited about Perth for Supercoach this week, should be a ripping game.
Yeah. I hope it is too. I love those Sunday afternoon games to kick back on the couch, end of the weekend, see the mighty Jack Jumpers get another win. Look, I think there's a lot of guys in here. Magnay's one we're all targeting. Huge cash grab to be made. I like the matchup. Perth, you're almost watching them hoping they have a shocker so you can pick them up cheaper before that big run of doubles.
Yeah, you're really hoping that you're cheering every time the ball rims out, really.
100%. It's like playing head-to-head against you.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, let's have a chat about some popular trades. But this segment's brought to us by Game Day, and they've actually got a massive promo on this week. This week for us. If you've used code IFS50 to sign up an account, you get $17 worth of cards. You also get your regular cards that you get when you start playing. But they're also giving away an all-star caliber lineup. So don't worry if you've already signed up. You are eligible and you go into the draw. But you win. Your Alex Tui's, your Jalen Adams. You start winning some gold Sam Frolings. They're going to give away a Milton Doyle and they're going to give away a Sam Fraudenberg, which you could sell in the auction house and make some moolah. Because you don't want to be playing Sam Fraudenberg this week.
No. Every good Pokemaster knows that is not the card you want to be playing Dungeons and Dragons with.
Yeah, but the winner will be drawn and announced this Thursday, 4 p.m. before the first game. So basically, you can set your lineup and get it going. So look, if you've thought about using it, if you're already in, you're in the draw. But pop in, you've got an opportunity to win some elite cards and win some cash this weekend. Mate, our trades this week. When you have a look at the most traded in, most traded out, it is Darius Days out for Will Magnay. Darius Days on a single, Will Magnay onto a double.
Yeah. Look, he's made some cash already. Would have probably liked to have held for another price rise, but that Magnay break even is just too good to give up. The way he played last week, the matchups we're talking about, this is a guy I'm bringing in this week, I reckon. And I think we've got the perfect combination of sexy and cute. You know, shout out to one of my favorite movies there with Steve Carell. Look, I think cash generation and points, captain option, all these things are colliding to just bring the perfect storm.
Yep, and another one, we're going to see Cam Oliver traded out in a fair few of these.
Yep.
I don't hate holding Cam Oliver for his double next week.
Yep.
But when it's to get Montrezl Harrell, who I think is going to make some really good money this week, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And I think that's where the boost comes in because you're dealing with center, you're dealing with forward. I don't think everyone's going to have playable guards. Shaylee and Jalen Adams, or do you need at least a Kendrick Davis to come in to shore that backcourt up?
Mate, I suppose the biggest question here because the trade outs in all these first four are Cam Oliver and Darius Days for Will Magnay or Montrezl Harrell. If you had to pick one person to trade in out of Will Magnay and Montrezl Harrell, who would it be? And if you could only trade one of these guys out, who would it be?
God, this is tough. If it was talking just 1 week, Magnate. But then he's on the single and Montrez is on the double. So if you look at over 2 weeks, I think you'd flip a coin and be happy either way. They're both going to make coin. I'm going Will Magnate because he's not minute sharing and the break even's there already. It's huge.
And is it Cam Oliver or Darius Days out for Willie Magnay in this scenario? Gun to your head.
I hold both Cam Oliver and Darius Days, and originally I was getting rid of Cam Oliver, but I think I'm going to get rid of Darius Days and keep Cam Oliver just because the following week is a double for Sydney. It's one less trade I have to make then.
I like it, but for me, I haven't seen enough from Cam Oliver to get excited about. He's banging out those 30s, which is completely fine. Maybe he hasn't found his groove, but he absolutely ripped up in the blitz. And I think this is more the role that we can expect for him. I think he's just going to average 30 this year. For me, it's Cam Oliver out for Will Magnay. Because again, making money, having an excellent captain option, and being able to hold Will Magnay the following week into that double where there's slim pickings really the following week.
Yeah, I think the other advantage of holding Cam Oliver compared to Days is that Oliver is forward centre eligible. So you can then move him into that centre along and put Will Magnay on your bench potentially as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm still trading Oliver out.
Yeah, eat a dick.
Mate, the next one is Derek Walton Jr. out for Kendrick Davis. Look, I love getting in Kendrick Davis. This is probably one that people just had penciled in.
Yep. Yeah, look, we were high on him all through the preseason. We've flagged that his game from the G League should translate. We've looked at a lot of things, and he's been thereabouts without really getting over the line for those big scores. But as poorly as he's been playing, he's still been dropping low 30s. It's that's just a good player down in his luck. He's 1 week away.
Jalen Adams is being traded out for Kendrick Davis as well by a high percentage of people ranked in the top 5%. I think you'd really hold Jalen Adams over Kendrick.
This is tough. All right, so let's say Kendrick does just what he's been doing. So 33. Nothing spectacular, but not awful either. So 66 across the round. I don't think Jalen's going to hit it. Let's say Jalen, let's be conservative, has 35?
Yep.
40 even? You're still coming 20 points behind. I think the trouble, if you get rid of Jalen, though, is that if you're trying to bring him back the next week and you've already spent the cash elsewhere, maybe it's going to take you 2 trades just to get him back in.
And Jalen is the man to captain next week.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing Shea Ely traded out for Kendrick Davis. Shea Ely on a double for Kendrick for a double. I'm just having these problems.
Yeah.
Trading Shea Ely out on a double.
I get that. I'm having problems that Shea Ely's already dropped cash. All right. And it's just that annoying bit of cash where you're coming up 2 or 3 grand short of bringing in someone that you actually want.
Jalen Adams
makes me hate looking at him even more, which is going to make me not want to watch the game, which is going to lead to a whole host of problems. So I think I better cut ties.
Mate, watch him get 6 steals next game.
And then turn it over each time.
Mate, there's not much else there. I'm seeing Xavier Cooks traded out for Will Magnay. I get it. Single for a double. Making some cash. Yeah. Jalen Adams out for Sam Fraudenberg via Jules. I understand. That must be just funding some bigger trades.
Yeah. I think what we need to get used to, especially for the first half of this season, is playing some of these guns on a single and being comfortable with it to save a trade the next week. Because the schedule is going to chop and change quite a lot now through the first half of the season where there's not a lot of long runs where we can hold guys for weeks on end. And I think there's going to be weeks where we don't have a full starting lineup of doubles all the time.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's coming awfully close, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I think looking at the schedule, this competition is going to be won in the first 10 rounds. I think if you get to that 10 rounds, you've made the cash, your points are up there. There's not going to be a lot to separate teams in the back end of the season when a lot of these teams get on a big run of doubles. I think you've really got to work hard to be right about, probably top 100 by round 10.
Mate, can you tell us about our community team?
I get really excited about the community team. This is a team that we have through all the guys who jump on both the Discord and the Patreon. They vote each week to select who our trades will be, if we boost, if we don't. And as a collective and the Brains Trust combined to put a team on the floor, and we see how we go. Last year we did exceptionally well. I think it was 150th overall.
Yep.
How did we go this week, Matrix?
Yeah, not real good. We captained Derek
Oh.
Walton Jr. was the problem, and that's what happens when we vote. Darius Days and Derek Walton Jr. was extremely close in the votes, but Derek Walton Jr. just won by a couple in the end. Again, I think the boys were having a little bit of a chat about maybe a boost this week. You've got Days, you've got Oliver. You need to trade out Derek Walton Jr. It's a lot of money to spend there. And there'll be some big decisions this week. If you want part of the chat, the Discord is below in our link tree. If you want our advice on any of our trades, it's also in our Patreon.
100%. Get on it. The more you get in there, the more we get a consensus answer that's not Derek Walton Jr. And let me tell you right now, I voted Darius Days. So someone else put their hand up and take responsibility for this disaster.
I refrained from voting for this one because I couldn't decide.
That's really strong of you.
But mate, you've been doing some write-ups in our Patreon as well. You've been doing a wrap-up, letting us know of your thoughts as well after each game. You've been chatting through your captains, a real deep dive into the stats when it comes to the captains. We've been answering every question that comes our way in the Patreon. You get to watch all this ad-free as well. And it is just $5.95 a month at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, plenty of value there. You get everyone else in there who's in the chat. You can help each other solve your problems, and really great place to hang out and see some of this stuff.
Mate, just before we have a chat about our captains, our online store has been going off recently. I'm loving the hat. I've been wearing it absolutely everywhere, and I'll be rocking the Insight shirt over the weekend. But pop in, have a look. There's some it's not what you spend, it's what you save shirts out there. You've got beanies if you're looking to buy ahead for the upcoming winter in about 6 months' time. Look, there's plenty on there. There's plenty of basketball gear. We also do our NBA show gear therein as well. There's some Weakest Piss, Be Better shirts. It's all going off in there. If you want to support us, pop in and buy some shit. But, mate, captains this week. We're probably going to go through our 3 most relevant captains without getting too pottish with it. Look, who are your captains this week?
Yeah. Look, number 1, Big Willie. I just don't think we can go past that combination of cash cow, points generation, schedule, and just saying Big Willie all the time. That gets me excited. He's he came off a 56 last game. He looked elite on the defensive end. He was active. He stayed out of foul trouble. He's going to be my number 1 captain pick. You agree?
Yeah, this was a guy I wasn't looking at bringing in at the start of last week.
No.
He came out, dropped 56, and when I had a look, I have captained Jalen Adams every week so far. It's only 2 weeks. I've captained Jalen Adams every week so far, and just sort of thought, hey, I need a guy on a double, and I'd actually planned on captaining Kendrick Davis, but after a couple of 30s, I'm going to chase the upside in Big Willie, I think.
Yeah, and you are used to chasing that kind of big willie, so good stuff. Hey, number 2. Now 2 and 3 for me were pretty close. Could go 2-3, 3-2. Number 2, Kendrick Davis. We've said he's been unders. Quite like the matchups. He's due. He's talked up in the media this week that, guys, just watch this space. I'm coming. Adelaide need a win, but he's almost had a double-double every game with assists. His shots haven't been dropping, but we know he can score. He just starts to put that together. Let's say 2 more assists, 2 more points. There's 4. Add the bonus 5 for the double-double. An extra 9. He's in the 40s.
I would not be surprised. I think that this guy has the sort of upside that he could drop 100 piece this week.
Yeah, potentially. Over the 2?
Yeah, over the 2. Yeah, over the 2.
Yeah.
I think he's got that game similar to Jalen Adams and Bryce Cotton.
Yeah, and he's the point guard. He's got the keys to this team. This is what boosts him above number 3, who we've gone with Montrezl Harrell. So Montrez has been a monster. His points per minute are off the chart. He's been dominating. He's going to be really special for this team. But there's one 7-foot problem in his way, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is Hump finding some form and just working his way out there into the lineup.
It's minute share. That's what
Yeah.
puts Kendrick ahead. Kendrick will get his close to 30 minutes. Trez is probably going to be closer to 20 because he's splitting time with Hump.
Yep. It's true. I have some concerns about it, but I mean, if you see this trajectory of 17, 21 into 25, we could be seeing an 80 or 90 score over the double.
Yep.
So
that rounds out the top 3 captains. A couple of smokies that we won't really go into depth with. Jack White, if you want to roll the dice, could go big or could not even turn up to the game like he did the first couple of weeks. Out of Perth, you could go Cotton, but that break even is horrendous. Doyle has popped up from time to time, and also Rob Edwards in Cairns. A couple of guys in the chat have been saying they love the guy. We don't, but whatever floats your boat.
like getting in Bryce Cotton on a double with 95 as the as his break even is the sort of trade that could win you the week, though. I just want to go out there and leave that there. Captaining Will Magnay, captaining, Harrell or somebody like that, they're going to be pretty highly captained this week. But a pod captain like that, honestly, you do have a chance of winning the week.
100%. And these are the things that can make or break your season. It could send you down 300 spots. It could send you up 100. Just depends what your appetite for risk is. Go big or go home, Matrix.
Yeah. So if you go into Will Magnay's 13% captain, and hold on, let me see if I can find Bryce Cotton captains. Actually, you know what? Bryce Cotton is the most popular captain option this week. Still, 19.5%.
I love that for everyone not named me.
No, that is a good one. Maybe people just haven't updated their teams yet, because I am seeing Xavier Cook as the 3rd highest captain this week. So
you'd hope they're putting a bit more thought into it than this. But hey, if they lose $100,000, better for us,
mate. We've just clicked the hour mark. Let's head into some questions. Hey,
it's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Mate, let's duck out. If you had to choose this week between Wardenberg and Doolittle from the sports guy here, who would you pick?
This is about probably the only time I'd pick Wardenberg.
Yeah.
He's cheaper. He's going to get a price rise, and he plays back-to-back doubles. Do I think Doolittle's a better player? Yep. But I think if you're going to make this trade, you're going to be holding him more than 1 week, because there's going to be work to do next week. So I'd go Wardenberg in this situation, make some cash, and hope to God that Groves fouls out in the first 4 seconds.
Yeah, true. Um, just ducking down the list. Can we rank the cheapies at the moment? Do you want to go your top 5 cheapies? And I'm going to go sub 150k with your cheapies. And if you want me to
Uh,
start, I'm probably happy to.
yeah, you can tell me all about Prather.
Well, Casey Prather is in there due to
Mhm.
the fact that his role has changed, honestly, immensely
Yep.
from what we thought to start off the year. Um, Ben Henschel, I still think is the best one out there.
Mhm.
I think Elijah Pepper is up there. He should be pretty well owned. Kelly LePepe, I think that he's got a fair bit of cash to make. His
Yep.
role's good. He's in a really good team. Um, they're okay with the fact that he's not scoring well. Like, he's not going to get benched because he's not scoring well. So I've got him in at number 4. And
Mhm.
my 5th one is Lat Mayen there. I think that there's some money to be made on Lat Mayen. I think that the 34 is something we won't see very regularly. I think that he's maybe a 25 point per game guy, but that's still enough to
Mhm.
make 100, 130k. I just hate Adelaide's schedule after these couple of doubles, and I'm not confident enough to play Lat Mayen on, like, even play Lat Mayen on doubles, to be honest.
Mm. Okay. Here's a cheapie that we were high on in the preseason, and we've been very low on since, but had a pretty good game last week, and now the schedule's looking juicy, and that's Kyron Galloway up in Cairns. Now, as a man who knows all about the Cairns, what's your thoughts here?
Um, Look, I like Kyron. He's looked really well. I do wonder if this was. If you think Sam Wardenberg is going to go really well, it's hard to back in Kyron as well. Kyron sort of slid down to that 4, Wardenberg to the 5. They stretched the floor with Groves out a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't get around it. Not everybody can be the beneficiary every week.
Yeah.
I think Tanner Groves just stays out of foul trouble in a lot of games, and Kyron and Sam Wardenberg are just mid.
And if there's one guy that you can't trust, Adam Ford. He'll come
Yeah,
up with a funky lineup just to screw
actually, yeah, Aaron Baines texted me and said that as well.
us. Yeah, they got beef.
Um, Mate, would you start Lowe or Henschel on the double? Mitchell Bacon's asking.
Ooh, God. That's really tough. I feel like Low is probably safe. You'll probably get 15 to 20. Henschel might be rocks or diamonds. You don't know what he's going to get. Apparently, he's coming off COVID. Um, we've only got the one game from him so far. And we know that Pepper had a big game in his absence. So I think Henschel has massive upside, but Lowe's the safer pick.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I really like. Imagine if Henschel bangs out a 60 or something though. No, like
Imagine.
after 27 in the first one, there'd be a lot of mad regrets. But he's very highly owned, so that's. I mean,
Yeah.
he's 55% owned, so you're probably playing him on the bench. And look, so is everyone else.
Yeah. Can you imagine a game where Cotton's out and probably Henschel and Pepper would just go nuts, wouldn't they?
Oh, Dylan Widler,
Oh, yeah. They've got some firepower out west.
he'd be like a good Ben Simmons out there with the ball in hand.
Like, actually on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, I think that we've answered everything. Global's had some questions about playing big Lat Mayen. Unless you think Lat Mayen, you could play him on a double. I think I've just answered this one,
Yeah, for sure.
mate. Look, good luck to everybody out there this weekend. It's actually a huge moving week, I think. And look, if we've prepared for this point, we've looked forward to next week. I think that we'll all see big jumps. So.
Yeah, I think it's been safe the schedule up until now. This is going to separate the men from the boys, and I can't wait to unpack it all come Monday night. So good luck for the weekend, everyone. We'll be watching.
You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.